Hello, my fellow readers. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. This is a recent YA fantasy that I've finished. So this is by Bridget Kemmerer, the author of the Cursebreaker series, which starts with A Curse So Dark and Lonely. She has also written a few contemporaries that I really enjoyed as well, YA contemporaries. But this is the start of an all-new YA fantasy series, or at least duology. I'm not sure if it's going to be a series or just a duology, but there most certainly will be a book 2. So in this story, there is a terrible illness that is spreading throughout the world, and people are getting violently ill and even dying. And they've been able to discover that there's one thing that helps to treat this illness, and that is the moonflower. So the moonflower becomes this hot commodity that becomes hard to acquire, especially if you are poorer, whereas the nobility seem to be able to get it because, surprise, surprise, they have the money too. And it causes this imbalance of power in this land. On top of that, the current leadership, the king and his brother, seem to rule very harshly, where they totally brutalize the lower classes, the poor, especially if they try to find ways to get the moonflower. It's just really, everything is ruled with an iron fist, and there's a lot of unrest and anger that is building and broiling, and especially with this illness happening. That being said, we mostly follow our protagonist, who is an apprentice. I think she's an apprentice. Yeah, an apprentice of an apothecary, Tessa. And Tessa is trying to do all that she can to help save people. She is the daughter of 2 healers as well, who ended up getting in trouble and murdered, for lack of a better word, by the nobility's guards. I think because, in part, I think they were accused of theft, but also they were out like after curfew, so something like that, and they were killed. So Tessa has seen some terrible things in her life, and she's just trying to do the best that she can. Like, her parents were also just trying to do the best that they can and helping save people, even though it was like after hours. And so she grew up with that being the founding principle, that you do what you can to help people. And, you know, she likes working and being at the apothecary so that she can help as many people as she can. But she also realizes that she has limitations and that she has supplies that she needs to actually help save these people, but they're not accessible to her. So she decides to start a life of crime, for lack of a better word. She ends up having a partner in crime, Wes, and the 2 of them like don masks, and they go and they steal moonflower from the wealthy, and then they'll grind it up and give medicines to the poor. That's essentially how it is. The story in general was based on the themes of Robin Hood, where, you know, you have the kind of noble thief that's doing something wrong for the greater good. And that's the premise that this is really built on as well. And one night, Tessa is on the job with Wes. They separate. I don't remember what Wes was going back for, but they separate. Tessa goes on ahead to wait for Wes, but Wes never returns. So Tess, I call her Tess, but it's Tessa. I'm giving her a nickname. Like, she's my friend. She's just my friend Tess. Tessa goes to find out what happened to Wes. I think that's why, Tess and Wes. Anyway, Tessa goes to see what happened to Wes, and in her investigating, 1, she sees some stuff that she didn't want to see. 2, she ends up sneaking into the palace because she realizes how easy it is for the lower classes to get around, because they're pretty much not seen. Like, they're looked over. This is not that much different from nowadays, but the poor are just glanced past. You know, you don't want to focus too much on people who are suffering. So she's able to just sneak in with these other girls who are, I think, servants of the palace, and she just sneaks in with them, but then gets trapped inside. And suddenly she is facing these people that she thought were really terrible and that have been kind of poor rulers in the fact that they're not solving the problems of the land and they don't seem to be focusing it. And so suddenly she is face to face with these people. She's also terrified because they have brutalized and murdered a lot of people. So she doesn't quite know what's going to happen to her now that she's here. But, you know, of course, in the way that these things go, it's not that easy. You know, there are truths that she ends up revealing in her captivity or supposed captivity. But it's really, it's intriguing. So yeah, Tessa goes about revealing truths that have been hidden, uncovering some harsh realities that maybe the nobility didn't want to face, and trying to map out a path for the future and the best way to do that. And, you know, this is a book one. So there is like a basic storyline that is wrapped up in this book, but there is definitely room for it to progress and move into another story, especially since you're dealing with the way that a land has been ruled. And now suddenly you're looking at, are there changes that could be made? You know, and there was a lot of that too, even in A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Did I just get that right? But there was a lot of that in there too. That was like, you know, it's great if you, in that case, like break a curse and suddenly, you know, you have things that you can move forward on. But then there's always like further repercussions to continuing to build the land forward. So even if in this case, you know, you're able to, you know, maybe bring about the fact or bring forward, I guess, the fact that, hey, there's a lot of people suffering, you know, can you find a way to fix this? And maybe even if you do find a way to fix that part, there's still a lot of other stuff that, you know, you either, well, there's a lot of stuff you have to face, especially if you were ruling with brutality. There's gonna be a lot of mistrust there. So I think it's gonna be interesting seeing where this goes. I'm not gonna give spoilers on like all the minute details because there's a lot of reveals and stuff that I don't want to reveal. Overall, I think the narrative was really good with this book. I liked the characters. I mean, there's definitely like some big surprises that did not come as a surprise to me. You know, it's something that you might go right off the bat like, oh, this is gonna happen. So you might also get that right away. But still, it didn't take away the enjoyment of the book. I loved the reveal actually happening, and yeah, I thought it was good. So if you want to try a new YA fantasy from Brigid Kemmerer, pick up Defy the Night. You know, if you want to wait until it's closer to when the second book comes out so that you're not like, oh, I want to read the next one, you can wait a little while. Again, I don't know exactly when the next one is scheduled to be published. And in this day and age, it could be pushed. So I'm just going to say there will be a book 2. You can look for it. Might be out by the time you pick up book 1. I don't know. That is it for this video. Until next time. Bye.